A lead can submit a form in 10 seconds and still wait 2 days for a reply. The problem is not the form. It is the handoff between the form, the spreadsheet, the inbox, and the person who should respond. In this build, we will connect Google Forms, Google Sheets, AppScript, and Gmail. Every submission becomes a clean row and a ready-to-review email draft. Nothing sends automatically. The automation does the preparation. A person decides what leaves the business. Here is the complete flow before we touch any settings. A Google form captures the lead. Forms writes the answers into a linked Google Sheet. An installable AppScript trigger runs when the new row arrives. The script validates the required fields, chooses a rule-based template, and creates a Gmail draft. The owner reviews that draft, edits anything that needs judgment, and clicks Send manually. If the script fails, the lead still remains visible in the sheet, so the automation cannot quietly erase the work. Create a Google form with 5 fields: name, email, company, what the lead needs, and timeline. Make name, email, and the requested service required, and enable Google's email response validation. Use these service choices: workflow audit, implementation help, and other. Consistent choices make the routing rules easier to trust. Do not ask for passwords, payment details, health information, or anything the first reply does not need. Link the form to a new Google Sheet. The script will add status, draft ID, and error columns to create the audit trail. The sheet is more than storage. It is the control panel. Each row starts blank, then the automation writes processing before it touches Gmail. It writes draft ready only after Gmail confirms that the draft exists, and it records the draft identifier for troubleshooting. If a required value is missing or the email address is invalid, it writes error and the reason instead of guessing. A row left on processing needs manual reconciliation before any retry. After the owner sends the message, they can mark the row sent. Open extensions, then AppScript from the response sheet. Add the handler shown in this build, and check the question labels in the configuration block. Select the linked response tab and run setup lead sheet once. It verifies the form headers and adds the audit columns. The handler trims each value, rejects control characters, validates the email, and chooses a short template from the requested service. User text is escaped before it enters the HTML message. The critical line is Gmail app.create draft. It is never a send action. Save the project, then open triggers in the AppScript sidebar. Add a trigger for on-form submit. Choose from spreadsheet as the event source and on-form submit as the event type. Save it and approve the requested Google permissions. This must be an installable trigger because creating Gmail drafts requires authorization. Do not schedule the function every minute and do not run it on every edit. The narrow event matters. 1 submitted form, 1 row, 1 attempt to prepare a draft. Submit 1 test lead using an email address you control. The response should appear in the sheet, and a new message should appear in Gmail drafts. The draft belongs to the Google account that installed the trigger. Before sending, check the recipient, the requested service, the promised next step, and the tone. Edit the draft when the situation needs context, then click Send yourself. This is a structural approval gate, not an AI promise. For a team, use a deliberate shared or delegated mailbox design. An owner column alone does not move drafts between accounts. Test 4 cases before using the form with real leads. A valid lead should create 1 accurate draft. The other service choice should use the generic template. An invalid email should create no draft and write a clear error. Select a completed row and run test selected row again. The existing status should prevent a duplicate. Never clear processing or error until you have checked Gmail drafts. Measure submission to reply time, drafts waiting for approval, and error rows. Draft creation avoids the email recipient send quota, but AppScript, Gmail service, trigger runtime, and manual sending limits still apply and can change. You now have a free lead follow-up system with a visible audit trail. Google Forms captures the request. Sheets records the state. AppScript prepares the response. Gmail holds it for approval. Start with 1 form, 1 owner, and 1 template before adding branches or AI. In the next build, we will turn meeting notes into assigned tasks without automatically sending client commitments. Subscribe to Ops in Minutes for practical automation without the hype.